These are in listen-only mode.
Welcome, welcome everyone to this month's webinar from Boostability. I am your host of the webinar, Sunny Nielsen. I'm the Communication Manager here at Boostability. I'm joined here today with Kaz Bevan. She is our Director of Communication and Marketing at Boostability. And today's webinar is that Santa wants to know how your marketing has been this year. It's all about holiday marketing. We would love your feedback and insights. We'll give you insights on holiday marketing. While we are waiting for a few more people to kind of filter in, we would love if you would take a moment. You should see a poll on your screen. We would love to just hear and get some feedback from you about when you start your holiday shopping. Please select one. We just kind of want to get a feel for when you personally start your holiday shopping, and you'll be able to see how this relates to the holiday marketing that we will be talking about here very shortly. So once again, we do appreciate that you're here with us. If you need any additional insights into anything as we go through this webinar, there is a questions section of the webinar. Feel free to type your question into the question box, and we will make sure that we get those addressed at the time or the particular slide that you put in that question. We will try and answer those as much as we can. If we cannot answer it for you at the time, of course, we will make sure to get that question, that answer to you via email, as well as any questions listed throughout the webinar we will also place on our website so that you guys can refer back to any of the questions at a later time. Now, if you need to jump off the webinar at any point, don't dismay, because we are recording this webinar, and you will get a recording of the webinar replay in your email in approximately 24 hours. But you can always find a replay of our webinars also on our website. Now, thank you so much. We have had quite a few people responding to the poll. We do appreciate that. So now that we've had a few people kind of take that poll, let's go ahead and move on to our presentation, which I will hand the reins over to Kaz for the information in this webinar. Kaz, take it from here.
Hi. I was just going to ask you, Sunny, have you already started with your Christmas shopping? What would you answer for this poll?
My poll would probably be Black Friday weekend. I am one of those procrastinators that don't really think that hard about it until I'm like in the holiday spirit. So I don't shop on Black Friday. I will say that. I don't particularly like the crazy crowds, but that definitely like gets my fires burning of, okay, let's get that list out of all the presents that I need to get, and that's when I really start looking around for the things that I need to buy. What about you, Kaz?
My habits have completely changed in recent years, which I found interesting, because we're going to go over some stats about how it's changed for people in general. But for myself, I'm basically done shopping already. And part of that is living all the way in Australia, and I literally bought Christmas presents like 2 weeks ago, and it told me it might not arrive for Christmas. So, just long shipping times. But the other habit that I have is those last minute shopping. So I am totally guilty of that. Amazon.com, December 22nd, order now for Christmas Eve, like, gets me every time. So for the people closest to me in my life, like, I've already shopped for you. But for all of those people, like the mother-in-law gift, where I'm like, I have no idea. I mean, that's going to get you another dish from IKEA, When I have no idea about what to buy for somebody, then I definitely buy your present about 2 days beforehand and hope to Amazon that it gets there in time. So yeah, it's pretty funny how that works out. I'm going to close the poll now. and we're going to talk a little bit about what you guys said. So interestingly enough, this is kind of the trend that shopping is going in general for everybody. So it gradually started going that way last year, in that people are either very early or last minute shoppers, and there's a number of different reasons for that. Part of it is a lot more email campaigns focus on last minute promotions, and so there's in some ways better deals in December. Some of it is procrastination, and then some of it is can be attributed to companies like REI, which last year they did the whole opt-out campaign for Black Friday weekend, and they even shut down their website, and they gave a paid-off day to all 12,500 of their employees and said to opt out of Black Friday and spend time with your family. And as a result, 150 other major American companies joined them. So Black Friday ended up not being as big of a thing, which kind of pushed people to December last year. So we'll talk a bit more about that as we go through the slides here. So welcome, welcome. And if you have any questions at any time, again, there's the question section of the webinar. Even if we don't get to your question during the webinar, I will personally email you your question and answer at the end of the webinar. So don't be afraid to ask anything or get too deep with your questions, because I will do all the research and let you know. And then if you have any other questions afterwards, feel free to contact either myself or Sunny on Twitter. So our Twitter handles are there at the top of the page. At the beginning of the webinar, we're going to quickly go through some stats. So don't feel like you have to write them all down, because we will have a copy of the slide share up for you and whatnot. And we're meant to go through them pretty quickly, just to kind of make the point of what's going on. So we'll get started with that. So for 2015, we started seeing more and more people, more and more retailers, that is, start to market for the holiday season, specifically the December holidays, all the way in September, which is new. We didn't really have people starting in September until recent years. Now we have as many as 15.4% of retailers starting in September. And that's for the Christmas season. So Halloween doesn't count as part of holiday marketing, although I think it should. And here's some of the stats for last year. It's split between men and women, but it's somewhat similar to the stats that you yourselves just gave. More and more people are shopping at the very last minute. Some of them, as you can see here, even after Christmas Day, are shopping for Christmas. Which makes sense, because there are other holidays, of course, for a variety of religions that go out throughout all of December. So there's early shoppers in September now, some even before September. So you get those Christmas in July deals, and then those last minute shoppers. And they're starting to take over and take away from that typical November season. And that's a prediction that you can expect to continue to see this balance out. So as you think about your holiday marketing for this year, keep that in mind, but also as you go ahead and take what you learned from your own marketing this year and think about next year's marketing campaigns for the holidays, keep in mind that there are going to be a lot more last minute people and early people, and how you're going to market to them and speak to them and get those people to shop your products instead of someone else's. So all in all, in the United States alone, it's a $3.19 trillion industry, which is amazing when you think about it, because only, and only is a light word here, 830 billion is for gifts. So you think about the 3.19 trillion and 830 billion. The other things that come into play here are Christmas trees, which is a huge, huge purchase. Christmas decorations, and Christmas cards. So regardless of your business type, even if you're, we've all been there getting our snow tires on in December at a Firestone or something like that, even a tire shop will give you a little ornament or something like that as a promotional gift. So you can get in on any of those big kind of shopping deals besides gifts. So if you're a services-based or business-to-business based, then think promotions rather than gifts, because obviously here at Boostability we sell SEO and social media services and some web design and web development services. So that doesn't really pan out well for giving that to grandma for Christmas. I mean, it might, but it's more about giving our customers that are already in place some sort of nice gift, giving them an ornament or something like that. And so that's kind of how you should be thinking if you're a business-to-business type. Now, this shouldn't be too surprising, but this is definitely going to change more and more in upcoming years. But 50 to 100% of all seasonal revenue is generated between Black Friday and Christmas Day. So not super surprising. A lot of companies wait until then, especially smaller businesses don't really come online with their deals until then, because it's hard to have the manpower to just kind of run a 4-month holiday campaign. So you can get most of your seasonal revenue that way. An even crazier stat is that for a lot of retail businesses, 50% or more of their annual revenue comes from this season, from the last quarter of the year. So it's a big deal to have your marketing plans in play, and we'll continue to talk more about that. So something to help you with your marketing strategy is another statistic here for top sales generators. And this is where your sales come from, which is a little bit different in the last quarter than it is for the rest of the year. And the reason being is that people are in a rush. At the end of the year, they're in a rush to find gifts, whether they're last-minute shoppers or just trying to get a promotion before it's sold out. People are all about the here and now, so they're going to check their email for any promotions they get from you. They're going to be more active and engaging on email marketing campaigns than they are throughout the rest of the year. So if you send out a promotion, they're either going to buy right then or they're not. It's just one or done, black and white. And they're also going to get on Google, and they're going to search specifically for the best deals and the lowest prices. And so because of that, for Black Friday email marketing, 25% of all sales comes directly from clicking from an email. 21% from searching for a product online, 16% from search, from paid search, that is. So that is those advertisements on the side and top of Google. You're going to get a little bit more click-through rate than usual, but still not too many people go straight there. That's kind of the order of importance. So if you're like me, I do all 3 of these things based on whether or not I find what I'm looking for in my email. If I don't, then I search for it online, and when I search for it online and I don't see it in the top 3 or 4 results, then I'll look around at the paid advertisements. I'm sure a lot of people do that. Things change a little bit more for Cyber Monday, because Cyber Monday is a little bit more drastic, a little bit more crazy when it comes to the digital front. And so it's a lot more about search for Cyber Monday, because everything is online, and then email. And then the interesting factor is that on Cyber Monday, keep in mind this isn't in general for the entire season, but on Cyber Monday alone, when people are just crazy for those flash sales on Amazon.com and whatnot, they're not paying attention to your social media posts. So posting about a flash sale isn't going to take you very far, because that takes too much time for somebody to find, to be aware about, and then to actually get the product before everyone else. So Cyber Monday alone has 127 million shoppers. So it's the new big deal, literally. And that was for last year. And some people, many statistics websites for this year are predicting that Singles Day is going to come to the United States. So Singles Day is something that China did last year on November 11th. So 11/11, all single numbers. And it was essentially the antithesis to Valentine's Day, but during the holiday season. And Singles Day was a huge, huge seller throughout all of the Asia area for essentially buying gifts for all your single friends. And it just became kind of a joke, but it was so successful that we can predict that essentially the United States is going to take that on as well. So that's something that you may want to go ahead and get on board with, because as a business you find the most success by being at the front of the battle line and being the first to do something. So when you're thinking of your strategies, do some research for what's been working internationally as well. You can do Boxing Day sales, you can do Singles Day sales, things that aren't necessarily popular in the United States, but can be and should be. You can be unique and authentic as a business by essentially just latching on to what works throughout the world. So on Cyber Monday, 92% of shoppers are completely just driven by discounts. And I'm sure that's no surprise at all. So for those people shopping on Cyber Monday, it's all about, do you have the best price and do you have the availability? So it takes a lot to be able to compete on Cyber Monday, and that will come up in our very first tip when we get to the tips section. Cyber Monday is also the biggest mobile shopping day of the year, throughout the entire year, the most people on a mobile device. And 47 to 48% of people shop from a mobile device for the holiday season. And one thing that grew drastically throughout 2014, 2015 is that mobile app usage grew by 58%, which is quite a lot. And I'm sure your own app downloads will line right up with the most popular. The most popular are personalization, emojis, productivity apps, and then easy in-app purchasing. But a little bit more details on that is that the easy in-app purchasing includes shopping apps. So it's not just a game where you got to do an in-app purchase of additional coins or something like that. So when you think of in-app purchasing, it doesn't just have to be thought of like that. It is just essentially easy one-touch purchasing for any products that you have. So that grew by 4.5% in the last year. Productivity, that is something you can take advantage of for the holidays. If it works with your business, you can create an app around preparing for the holiday season. You can create an app that has a simple checklist of things that you should do. And that would be a way of getting into that market. Emojis, you can create your own fun, especially for Android, because it's a lot more open source. You can create your own fun little stickers for people to include in their chats. And personalization is really high up there. And personalization comes in a lot of different forms. And one of the ways you can take advantage of that is by doing digital cards. So seasonal cards that you can just tweet to each other and things like that, just different ways of getting out there. And you might think to yourself, what does that have to do with my business? But it's all about branding and brand awareness. So maybe your business doesn't sell cards, but if your business is supporting personalization and allowing people, your audience specifically, to share something, then your audience is starting to learn more about who you are and what you believe in as a company. So you have to think in those terms in order to really start to create something that could be a viral success for you. So I just said this, 47% of all holiday purchases begin on a mobile device. That includes phone and tablets. And 81% of shoppers conduct online research before buying. that you can provide about the product that they're looking for. So 1 in 3 people search a product online prior to visiting the store, and then I believe, here we go, 15%, it goes both ways, 15% of those people will visit the store within 24 hours. But then here's something to really think about in matching your in-store appearance with your out-of-store marketing campaigns, because 15% of the people, if you have a brick-and-mortar store, 15% of the people walking through your store right now are looking at your products and shopping online to find a cheaper, better deal than what you're offering in your store. So it's important to really make it known if you have price matching or anything like that, to really get those people to buy from you rather than using your store to say, hey, you know, this t-shirt fits, I'm going to buy it online. So that's another thing to think about for your marketing campaigns. So during the holiday season specifically, 50% of the people will visit a store within 24 hours of searching. So that's significantly higher than it is throughout the rest of the year. And when it comes to mobile search, 88% are from a phone and 84% from tablets. They're specifically searching for hours and directions, address, availability of products, discounts, and pricing information. So throughout our tips, we're going to get to a tip about SEO. And it's super, super important to make sure that your website is updated with any changes in holiday hours, any additional addresses, such as if you have a pop-up shop. If you're normally an online store that has a pop-up shop during the holidays, make sure you put that on your website and your social media sites. And make sure that the availability of your products is reported on your site, and that any changes at any time for discount and pricing is always there. So you're constantly updating, and that's going to not only let shoppers know and trust what's going on with you and your company, but that's going to let Google know that you're updating your site, you're changing your site, and you're staying up to date with specific to the holiday information. So out of those 50% of people who will visit you within 24 hours of looking up for your product online, 18% will actually complete a purchase within that 24 hours as well. So we've gone over all of the stats. Now what? Now what are you going to do with it? And we're going to go over some pretty serious tips here. And each one of these tips could be their own webinar. But I don't want you to worry too much, because we're going to briefly discuss each one of these tips, but then this webinar is going to follow up with a lot more detail on exactly how to test your website and exactly how to do some of these tips. So if you feel like we don't go over it in too much detail here, don't worry, you'll be receiving that straight to your email inbox, and you'll be able to actually go through step by step with some of these tips. So when is the big question, and you should have your holiday testing during August and September of each month. So I know we're already past that, but that's something you should definitely plan on for next year if you haven't done it already. And then you should begin campaigning in October. And a lot of people aren't comfortable with campaigning for Christmas, December holiday season in October. So for that, I always recommend using all holidays throughout the last quarter of the year. So use Halloween and Thanksgiving and Black Friday and Cyber Monday and, you know, St. Nicholas Day and just every single little celebration that you can. And that's going to just build your awareness. That's going to keep your company at the top. That's going to keep you at the top of people's minds, so that when you do start talking about Christmas specifically and December holiday specifically, then people will still think to come to you because of that great Halloween post that you had or that funny turkey post that you had. So again, the how is to check your email for the details of the tips that we're going to go over, and then we're going to add it to our website as well. So tip number one, and this is the part that if you haven't done already, definitely do work with your web development team to do this. And this is to test your website for higher traffic load and mobile usability. So these are the two number one things that not only deter people from staying on your website and leaving immediately, but during this season, it's things that people don't forget. So if they're trying to shop for a product that they fell in love with, it's a perfect idea, a gift for mom or whatever, on your website, and your mobile site is not working, or your site goes down, your server goes down because there's too much traffic to your site, not only will they leave and buy it somewhere else, but they will think of that in the future, and they are not very likely to ever return. So that's a big deal. This server being down is something that really, really affects people. So testing for mobile usability is something we'll send you specific details about. 3 different ways on how you can do it. You can do it with Google Search Console. You can do it in your Chrome browser. And then, of course, you can do it from a variety of your own like phone and tablets and whatnot, and get your friends and family involved for your higher traffic load. So that's something that if you think that your website has the chance of having thousands of people on it at the exact same time, or multiple people trying to make a purchase at the exact same time, you may need a higher hosting package than you have. So the only way to determine that is if you don't host your own website and have your own server, then you need to contact people that do host your website. So if that's WordPress, if that's GoDaddy, you contact them and see if you need to buy any additional server space in order to deal with the amount of traffic that you're expecting. And Sunny, do you have anything to add to this?
Well, just as people are looking at this, and don't be afraid, so many people are worried about this technical, oh, this is so technical on my back end, I don't know if I'll be able to tackle this, or it's going to take forever. It doesn't take that long to run these tests. So, you know, go for it. Feel free, even if you just do some initial testing and then say, oh, if you do recognize there's a problem, that's when you can then take it to your web guy or take it to someone who will have more expertise. So don't hold off on running these things now, because they will end up hurting you in the future. And I did add it in the chat section, just a quick, easy way that you can check for mobile usability on your website. It's Google's Webmaster Tool, like Kaz just recommended. That's an easy way to check your URL just right now as a quick starter tip that you can do right after this webinar to check for mobile usability, and then you can go from there.
Right, and if you have any errors or anything that comes across, the great thing about Google is that they will tell you specifically what is wrong and what they suggest, and you can work with your web development team to fix those things. So one of the things that happens most in the mobile usability test is people think that they have a mobile-friendly website simply because it looks great from their iPhone. And newer phones, they're doing much better at optimizing websites for you, but that doesn't mean that your website can be viewed very easily from an older phone. And a lot of people still have older phones. The plague of my existence is the Nexus 4. It's not that old of a phone. It's only been about 3 years, but websites just do not look good on that phone. And you have to design for all phones that are still in use, essentially. So that is something where Google will let you know more about. And the thing that comes up most that seems to surprise people is what I call the fat finger test. And that is that your buttons and your navigation are hard to click on because there's too many things too close together, which it might not seem that way to you if you have a gigantic, iPhone 6 Plus like I do. But again, it's what matters to all phone types, all tablet types, and all sizes. So you definitely want to run a test on something like that in order to get the accurate information for a number of devices. And tip number 2 is to do the same for your emails and social media posts. With emails, again, it's going to look different on every type of phone or tablet, and the best thing you can do is use whoever you send emails through. If you're using MailChimp, if you're using HubSpot, if you're using Pardot, they'll have a render test, and always run that render test and see what it looks like on different servers, different cell phones and whatnot, to make sure that it looks right for everybody that you're delivering to. And social media posts, one of the things that I like to warn the most about is Twitter, because Twitter is one of those where even if you make it in the exact size that Twitter wants you to make it, on the mobile version of Twitter, whether you're viewing Twitter through a browser on your phone or using the Twitter app, they will cut off the edges no matter what, no matter if you're using the right size. Even if you make it smaller, they're going to buffer the edges. So whenever you're creating an image that you're posting on Twitter, especially since Twitter is such an important real-time tool to be announcing promotions and flash sales and things like that, a lot more important for the real-time aspect than things like Facebook or LinkedIn, then you're going to want to make sure to have just kind of an edge, a buffer around your image, so that when somebody's viewing from their phone, they don't see, you know, this picture of Santa Claus's face and then the 50% off part is cut off, because then they're not going to click on it. They're not going to know that you're having this promotion. Tip number 3 that we're going to talk about, and that you'll receive more details in email about, is to create a mobile-specific advertisement campaign. As we talked about in all of the statistics, we have 47 to 48% of the people shopping from a mobile device. And that's even higher on the Cyber Monday and Black Friday. People are searching for you, people are searching for products. So we want to create advertisements that are going to show up on their phones. So this works great for social media advertising. So it's not as proven currently for mobile specific advertisements on Google or Bing or anything like that. You're not going to see a drastic difference. But with things like Facebook, if somebody's just scrolling through their Facebook, seeing what's going on while they're sitting in line, you know, waiting to purchase some gifts, then your advertisement can be right there. And so I stress to start a mobile-specific campaign in which you only run ads to the mobile side of Facebook, the mobile side of Instagram, and then you create the exact same ads for a desktop version. And if you do that now, then you have time to run the two against each other with the same time frame, the same budget, and see where you can allocate all of your budget for the right success. So I guarantee you're going to see a lot of success with your mobile campaign, and that when it comes down to that Black Friday weekend, Cyber Monday, beginning of December, when people are really looking for things online, you'll be able to know by then through your A/B test what works best for you, and you'll be able to just allocate all of the money to one side and get the most bang for your buck, essentially. And tip number 4 is to create a strong email campaign. We learned through the poll that we ourselves did, as well as through some of the stats that we went over, that a lot of people, more and more people, are waiting until December to do their shopping. So don't let your advertising and promotions end with the Thanksgiving week and Cyber Monday. Make sure that you're participating in that very end promotion. Whenever is the last date that you can ship an item or deliver a service, make sure that you're running those last minute promotions for people, and make sure you can guarantee those services. Don't set yourself up for failure by not being able to deliver on the shipping or the service in time. Make sure that you give yourself time. And the email campaigns that you do go along with those last minute promotions, which are becoming more and more of a thing, but also you can use different tracking codes, different remarketing campaigns to send out emails based on people that abandon their shopping carts or are total procrastinators like I am. I'm the slowest shopper in the world. So those are the people that are constantly browsing your website, but they're not ever purchasing. So you can within 24 hours say, hey, I noticed that you're looking at this. What more, what can we do to help? Here's the live chat. Here's, live tweet, something like that to help push them along, as well as remind them right there at the last minute promotion stage, like this is the stuff that you loved, this is the stuff you've added to a shopping cart, this is the stuff that we recommend. Sunny, do you have anything more to add to this one?
Yes, I want people to remember when you are creating your email campaigns that, again, not only are you targeting and retargeting those who have almost purchased from you, but I want people to remember that the email campaigns really are to help strengthen your customer loyalty from those who have already purchased, because it is 4 to 6 times more expensive for you to try and gain a new customer than it is to keep the ones that you currently have. So don't take this tip lightly. Really focus on this tip, because your current customer base is a huge asset to you, and your email campaign will help your customers come back again and again.
That is an absolutely perfect addition to that. Yes, that is extremely important. Tip number 5 is this is why you SEO. This is what you've been doing your search engine optimization strategy for. Search engine optimization doesn't happen overnight. So this is something that a minimum of 3 months prior to your holiday marketing, you need to be working on SEO for your site. But the longer that you've been working on it, the better results will be. And that way, when you make some specific holiday changes to your website, such as if you're adding products or services that you only have during this time of year, you're probably adding an additional page, some additional images, and some additional content. And rather than having to start from scratch on SEO specific to these pages or specific to these keywords, Google is going to be a lot more privy to your website changes once you've already built that SEO trust with your click-throughs and your searches in the past. So SEO, I'm going to stress over and over again, is an ongoing thing. It's not a one and done thing. So that's something that you should be focusing on year-round, all year, so that when you do make those changes at the end of the year, that it really does count, it really does matter. And one of the great tips of SEO is to keep your website up to date, to keep your content up to date. So where you can take advantage of seasonal SEO is you can change the headers of your website to have more of a holiday theme, some holiday images. I stress that you can do the same for your social media headers, because social media has its own SEO. Facebook has its own search rankings. So change up your header images. That's one of the most engaging things that you can do. And again, going back to what people primarily search for, make sure your business hours, your addresses, and all that information is correct, not only on your website, but on your business profiles, such as your Google Maps listing and other areas of SEO where people can find you. And then another way of keeping your website up to date and adding more content during this season is if you have a blog. So from Halloween on through New Year's, make sure that you have different things to talk about. Gift ideas are really popular. Create a lot of links, create a lot of engagement. So anything that you can put out there that's real-time content that you can twist and twirl into what works for you and your company. Make sure that you're making these periodic updates. This is a time of year where if you have the manpower to do it, go ahead and make updates every single week. Add a new blog post, add a new promotional image to your website and whatnot. And this takes us straight into another important tip, which is to be personal. So personalization, as you remember probably from our stats, personalization was one of the top selling new apps throughout 2015. That 58% growth of new apps. Personalization was the very, very top. That alone had a 344% growth. And a fun fact for the season is that 5.5 times higher sales conversions when you personalize something. So you have many opportunities this time of year to be personal. That's in your social media posts, your social media replies, your emails, the suggestions that you send to people in your customer service, and all of these things tied together. Technically, they're all part of the same team in a way. So if you have the ability, I would add chat to your website, live chat, or I would create a specific Twitter account or use your main business Twitter account for any sort of live customer service. Let people know that you're going to be there. Try to be available during longer hours than just the 8 to 5. Try to be available during shopping hours to answer any question, but also reach out. Keep a list of people that already follow you on Twitter, see what they're doing, see what they're shopping for, see what they're talking about, and engage with them. Not in a really salesy tone. Don't be like, hey, no, buy that on my website. No, you're going to engage with them and be like, that sounds like a great gift idea. Because if you're just being you, if you're just being a person and being authentic, creating a personality for your business, that leads to search. So going back to the statistics, search is one of the main things that drives sales throughout this time of year, and being personable drives search. So you don't necessarily have to include a link unless somebody asks for it. You don't necessarily have to push your business at all. You just have to engage. And this is where I like to bring up the Miracle on 34th Street effect. This is where you don't have to say, oh, hey, we have that. You know, again, at Boostability, we're business to business. We don't have anything you want to give anybody for Christmas, but we can really put our brand awareness to the test and put it out there simply by participating in conversations that our friends and followers are already having and saying, yeah, that's a great idea. Why don't you go to this other website? I think they have exactly what you're looking for. Not necessarily driving them to us, but you're building brand awareness, you're building trust, and you're building more and more opportunities for people to want to search for you. And that's where I also stress leading right into being reliable. So one of the things that is just most annoying to followers, and most annoying to marketers as well, is when companies, small businesses, or individuals really get out there, they have these fantastic ideas, and then they just trail off. And they're not speaking to you. You're asking questions, you're tweeting them, you're emailing them, and you're not getting a response. You have an issue and you're not getting a response. But also, you're waiting for the promotion of the year. You're waiting for them to post something, and they're not posting it. So during this time of year, really be there when you say you're going to be there, but also make sure that your social media schedule, when you're posting, when you're emailing, is reliable. Throughout the year, people, if you change from emailing every Monday to emailing every Thursday, people don't take as much notice as they do this time of year. This time of year, don't test so much on the when and the where unless you're sending a second version of something. If you're going to send an email every single Monday with a product highlight of the week, then stick to Monday. People are going to expect it at the same time, in the same format, from the same person, and you've got to stick to that in order to really get the best response. It's another way of building trust. It's another way of getting more of those organic search results and getting people to buy. And then, if you remember from the statistics, only 1.8% of sales over Thanksgiving weekend were attributed to social media because people are just too busy. They're too in the zone to go look up a promotion on social media. Social media isn't, at least most of the social media we're using today, isn't real time enough. We're starting to have things like Snapchat that are very, very real time, that would work very well, but not necessarily encompassing the audience that you want to speak to. So for social media, I want you to reconsider how to be social, especially this time of year. As social media is becoming more and more customer service based, and it's replacing customer service. So people like American Express have completely shut down their 1-800 phone number and their contact email, and they do 100% inbound customer service through Twitter. So you tweet them that you have a problem. If they need to talk to you about it, then they private message you on Twitter, and then they call you, rather than having people calling and waiting and all these kinds of mess and people trying to get through all of the emails. It's a lot more clean for them. It's a lot more real time for them, and more major companies are going this direction. So this is back to being reliable and being social in a different way, rather than expecting social media to convert your sales. You look at social media as number one, brand awareness. You're creating awareness for your website, your brand, who you are, what your voice is, what your personality is, and promotions as well. And that doesn't mean that people don't buy based on what you put on social media. It just means that people don't generally click away from their Facebook feed because you posted something, because they want to go on to the next thing in their Facebook feed to see another baby picture or to see what another company has to say. So social media has become less of a click-through and more of a search. So they're going to go back and search for it. If you've really truly captured them, they're going to end up buying. So you should still put your promotions, still put sales on social media, but you shouldn't expect them to click straight through from just an organic social post. Instead, you should know that, again, top thing is brand awareness, and the second thing is customer service. 1 in 5 people use social media first. They think of social media first when they have a complex situation or a question about your company. And if you're not there, if you're not doing tip 7 and being reliable, then instantaneously the same amount of people, 20% of people, are likely to leave you a bad review, which is going to majorly hurt your company. So that's some sort of reputation management that you should definitely be on top of. And Sunny is the best person I know at social media and reputation management. So Sunny, do you have any tips there?
Well, the biggest tip that I have for this is really kind of be selective about social media, because again, there are 100 different social media platforms that you could be on. I mean, you know, there's Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, plenty of others that you can go on to, Instagram, and, you know, there's a new app coming out, basically one a week, easily, that you could be on in terms of your business. The question that I want everyone to remember as you're looking at social media is don't stretch yourself too thin. And the best way to do that is think about to be present where you know your customers will be. So if you understand what your customer base is, then you will know, okay, my customers really love Snapchat, so I should be on Snapchat so that they can find me. If you do not have a demographic in your customer base that uses Snapchat, maybe your customer base is older, things like that, spending time on Snapchat will not help your business because you're not reaching your customer base. So don't feel like you have to be on every social media platform out there, you know, especially as a small business. Your time is very finite. So find the areas where your customers are or will be and focus your energy and efforts there so that you can have the biggest bang for your buck.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's something we're going to go over in even greater detail in our next November webinar, we're going to go over analyzing your return on investment from different social media platforms and what that means for you and when you should decide to change platforms, essentially, and what you should decide to try. Tip number 9 is be here now. The social media trends, the way that people are shopping, being engaged, they call it the millennial effect. It's gearing more and more towards real time. And I'm sure you've noticed not just Snapchat, but YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Instagram Stories, all of these things can't be scheduled. You can't upload a photo that you've taken previously. It's all live. It's all the here and the now. So here's a little picture of Santa taking a selfie, and this is one of the ways that you can be personable. You can really put that transparency into your company. You can post pictures of especially small businesses. People love your backstory. They love the behind the scenes. So you can post pictures of, you know, taking 100 new boxes of, you know, fresh new product to the post office and what that looks like. You can take pictures of what your office decorations look like, what, you know, new employees smiling, things like that. People really like to see the behind the scenes because people are really interested to know how it all works. Even if you yourself are like, hey, I understand, I know how it works, I run my own business. People really engage in the backstory. Sunny, do you have any more to add to that one?
The biggest thing that I have about being here and now with your small business is when you put yourself out there, it is helping your customer base put a face with your brand, put a face with your company, and that makes a stronger connection to them because, again, you know, you want to buy from someone that you know. And so by putting yourself out there in this kind of setting, you know, again, showing a picture of your employees having fun or a picture of all, you know, you hand building whatever thing that it is that you build, that allows them to see a little bit into your life and makes a bigger connection for you, and they will most likely continue to purchase from you in the future because they feel like they know you as a person.
Absolutely. Just out of curiosity, for the people that we have out there, feel free to chat in the chat box here. Let us know what type of company that you have. Maybe we can discuss some ideas for you about holiday marketing, but also let us know your own tips, the things that you have admired about other companies and things that have worked well for you. That's definitely something that we would love to share with the crowd here. And tip number 10 is to just relax, because if you've done all of these things, you absolutely have time to relax. You're not going to be on pins and needles and high anxiety during the holiday season. When you forget about it, when you don't plan ahead of time, which I've definitely done before in the past, then you're going to find yourself, you know, out there tweeting something on Christmas Eve, and nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to eat up, you know, their Thanksgiving weekend, no pun intended, by, you know, trying to get promotions out there and trying to check the work of others. And it's a really difficult time of year because a lot of companies are hiring temp employees that maybe they're worried about the training. You really want to micromanage. You really want to make sure that they're doing it right. And I would just say make sure the people that you trust are doing the things that matter most, that email campaign, you know, things like that. And then the people that you have temporarily can do things like your customer service, those extra long hours, displays, some extra graphic design, things that will work for you and your company. So again, let's talk about you, your business, and tips that you have and tips that we can have for your business. So if you have any feedback, go ahead and chat that in. And then again, I'm going to email out specific instructions on how to go through and do all of those tips. One of the things that, oops, sorry about that. One of the things that I essentially recommend. I couldn't agree more. Remarketing campaigns are one of the things that work really well this time of year.
Harmony, sales meeting prep.
And do you have any other tips from anybody else?
We haven't seen any major tips here, but one of the biggest tips that I know that we do here at Boostability is to really reevaluate our calendar. And I know that you would agree that the calendar is kind of our lifeblood of the things that we will implement for Boostability. And so if you haven't really scheduled out your marketing plan and your marketing campaigns, now is the time, you know, even if it's just an old school calendar of, you know, pulling it off the wall and writing things down, being able to see it written out and going, you know, we want to launch this email campaign at this time. We want to push this kind of promotion via Twitter or via Facebook at this time. It will really help reduce the stress of all of the things, the whirlwind of marketing and the hubbub of the rush of the holidays, so that you don't get overwhelmed.
Right, absolutely. And if you feel like you're already behind for this year, trust me, you're not. You can go ahead and get started and be ahead of the game, especially for most small businesses who don't typically plan this early in advance, and they definitely feel it, and they definitely miss out from sales because of it. So go ahead and start, and then analyze. We'll, again, talk more on November 9th about analyzing, but go ahead and analyze how your year goes, and then we'll do the 12 months of marketing. We'll do a webinar for that early next year, and you'll be able to get that holiday marketing schedule in as early as August for testing, for website changes, things like that. If you're interested in attending our State of Social Media Address, which is November 9th webinar, it'll be around the same time on November 9th. And if you want to pre-register, go ahead and type in the questions section of this webinar, just type RegMe, and we'll go ahead and pre-register for you, because that will let us know what your email address is. So make sure to do that in the question section so that it ties it to your email address rather than in the chat section. Anything else, Sunny?
I think that is it. Once again, thank you so much for joining us for this holiday edition of this marketing webinar. Again, if you have any questions after the fact, you are more than welcome to tweet us. Kaz is Are You With Kaz? That is her Twitter handle. My Twitter handle is The Jolly Polly. That is JOLLYPOLY. And again, you can always chat us there, or you can chat Boostability at our main page, Boostability Twitter, or Ask Boost. We will be happy to answer any of those questions. And if not, then we will just see you on November 9th during our next webinar, okay? Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Thank you so much, Kaz, for helping us. And we will see you guys next time, okay?
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.